we're not that invested. We're just playing for fun, sort of thing. We're not taking it seriously.
Remember when we went to casino?
Yeah, we made.
That was mad.
Riz came and went with £10. I went 20. You turned into like 1,500. I turned into like £500-600.
Welcome everyone to another Words of Rizdom podcast. I am joined once again by my good friend, brother from another mother, Tomas Males. Thank you again for joining me, bro, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for all the support, by the way. I do forget to mention, but we really appreciate it. Well, I really appreciate it. I'm sure Tomas does as well, from the feedback from the last one and all the kind comments and support as always. Remember that this is, yes, it's about the value and trying to give insights into the mindset and journeys of other people, whether traders or not, and the sort of lessons that you can implement and learn from. But it's also really just a powerful passion of mine and a powerful experience for me to be able to speak to other individuals and hear other people's journeys and stories. And I learn so much from it as well. But I really appreciate all your support. And we're just trying to do as much good as possible, provide as much value as possible, and grow that and try and inspire as many people as possible as well. So we always appreciate, if you subscribe, comment, like, and give us your thoughts. Appreciate it so much. So thank you. Well, let's go straight into it. Obviously, where we left off, we were talking about sort of the start of our journey and how you would, use the power of saving and developed a mindset, and how we developed our mindsets growing. Obviously, at one point during our journey, coincided actually, if you remember, I had a corner shop. Right, the business I tried, it was my dad's old shop, which I'm sure we'll go into as well a little later on into that situation, what I've been gearing up for. But my dad's old shop that I had bought and wanted to run, I thought in terms of continuing the legacy and obviously entrepreneurship. And then at the same time is when we found trading. And me and you did our first ever course at Astro. And we did that together. And back then it was a 3-person, 3-day course.
Yeah, in Birmingham.
3-day, 2-day?
3-day, yeah.
3-day, yeah, in Birmingham.
Yep.
We did that together. First ever course ever. First introduction to FX. And yeah, just tell me a bit about your FX journey, because obviously you don't do FX now.
No.
And I really wanted to talk to you about that because I don't hear many stories that relate to that. And I think it'll be a very interesting topic, and I think very insightful, maybe even very eye-opening for a lot of people too. So, tell us about, what was it that interested you about FX? How did the FX journey go? And then obviously what ultimately sort of took you away from that?
So what got me into it, there was a guy on Instagram, I don't know who he was, but he was like, giving signals kind of stuff. And he was, kind of knows it all sort of thing. And I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. And I had Trading 212. You could see all the adverts and you download it.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into it. And so I followed this guy's advice on Instagram, and it was basically OPEC meeting for oil. Oil. And he was like, short it. They're going to say this. And I was like, all right, shorted it. And I was in a club. It was Sunday night, and I was in a club, and I did it. And I just had no fucking clue what I was doing. And it went right. And then, so the £100 was like a few hundred. And then, when you've got the equity from that, you can put on more trades. Even though you don't have £100, because you've got that equity, you can do it. And so I'd put on another trade, another short, and bigger and bigger and bigger. And basically in 3 days, I turned £100 into £4,300, 3 days.
Amazing.
Of course, I lost it. Classic. But it was just seeing that and just knowing if I had just pressed one button and then another to withdraw it, I would have made £4,300 in 3 days. And I was working.
Man, you were what, 22? 21, 22 at the time?
Yeah, 20, 21, 22. Because it was when I was working in the nightclubs. 1920, actually, because when I finished America, came back, started working in nightclubs. So it was about 2021. And just the power of that, it's just like, wow, I'm working in a job and I did, worked at weekends, and so I'm making, I think it was £120 per weekend, just working 2 shifts. And it's like, that's like 40 or so, I don't know,
almost
weekends. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, and then so obviously try to get that back and blowing accounts. It's like, okay, let's learn to do this seriously. Because who was it? Wackass.
Oh.
Yeah. Wackass. Yeah. It was Wackass. Because he did.
I've never mentioned his name, so I apologize, bro. But yeah, Wackass.
Yeah. But yeah, he basically did the course, and obviously, he's doing this correctly. There's a method to his madness, and so I think you inquired into it. These are the guys, followed them. Let's do the course, and that's how I got into it. What was the other question? Sorry.
How did the journey go? And then obviously what ultimately took you away from it?
So how did the journey go? Ups and downs, blown accounts, of course. I think because with me, I went to Australia, and then it's just like, working and traveling. Because with trading, it's not as easy as everyone makes it out to be. It's not
travel lifestyle and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like and the learning phase, the accumulation phase of knowledge, and then learning the strategy, building the plan, and sticking to the plan. It takes years, And so with me, reflecting on it, I thought I was all in, but I wasn't. Like you got to be with trading. You've got to be all in, like all in. It's like anything else. It's not something you can half-ass and for a few hours in here and there. It's like you got to fully dedicate yourself to it. And realistically, I wasn't. I thought I was. And so with me, it was like I'd make money here and there. I was mostly in losses, and then I took it seriously when I was in Brisbane for about 2 years because I set up a MyFX account to track the progress.
Yeah.
And so it would be like, I started using 1% risk management. And so like, September, I'd do a few good trades and I was like 9 or 10%. I was like, great. Next month, maybe lost 2%. And then next month, it was like 0.37%. And it's just like break even kind of thing overall, which is great. That's me making progress compared to me losing accounts and stuff. And it's like, I can make this work, of course, but it just wasn't for me, as in like
passion wise,
helping people. It wasn't filling me up. It's like, even though something makes you a lot of money, it's just like,
because I think you were passionate about the idea of it, but it wasn't. And I think due to obviously your mindset at the time, same with mine, in terms of like wanting above average, and that's kind of what trading essentially represents and is definitely portrayed as. And I think that was what was appealing to you, and it wasn't necessarily the money, because I think you did enjoy the intellectual side of it, the understanding of it.
Yeah,
but I think in terms of the passionate side, two things. One, from obviously knowing you, you're more risk adverse. Yeah. So then trading is obviously a very risky style. Even though you control the risk, it's still risky in comparison to obviously other investment and wealth management, growth strategies. So I think that was one element. And then just the passion. I think the passion probably wasn't there for trading.
I know I want to help people.
Yeah.
And
solve problems. You don't really help people.
What trading, I do now, it's you against you. Yeah. You're not serving anyone. Like, and the thing I've noticed with traders, and you're an example, is you do trading, but then that's like a gateway or that jump pad to do the thing you really want to do. Help you get the money. With you're mentoring now, and you're being of service to other people, sort of thing. And so with me, it just wasn't. It wasn't that I want to do this the rest of my life. Can I see myself doing this the rest of my life? In 30 years, will I still be trading? Probably not. And so it was more so, I want to be helping people, but it's not so much with trading. It's just like
generally,
with money. Like, I'd rather help someone build their finances and then, help people with other stuff.
And plus, you're probably making money in other areas through just your investing.
Yeah, and mainly through jobs, and then obviously the investments were going up and down. But yeah, it was more so the fulfillment side of things just wasn't there. But also with the results I was getting, I wasn't, because I think if you're not making 2% a month consistently from trading, on average, so I think that's compounded 26% per year. If you're not making that from trading, why? Because with index funds, because I was making, breaking even. And I was like, the amount of effort, the amount of work, the amount of money and time and perseverance I'm putting in, and I'm getting subpar results, break-even results for years, it's like, it's not for me. And it's just like, and then when I realized I can put this money into an index fund, and on average, throughout the last 100 years, it's made 10% a year, I'm making 0, 1% or losing money with trading over the year, or for all this time and effort, or I could just put the exact same money in an investing index fund, get on with my life, get on with actually doing what I'd really want to do, which is coaching, helping people, what I've learned now, but helping people, focus on that. and then I'm making more money from that doing nothing. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of there's a fulfillment side of things. It just wasn't.
It was like multi-levels. It wasn't just like one decision made you.
It's this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life, but also, you know, just looking at the stats, you know, the odds are against me, and I'm not all in on this.
Yeah.
You know, with my circumstances, I wasn't all in, and so it was just I just was real with myself, and you know, I think people see quitting as a bad thing, you know, and sticking with it and being persevering is a good thing, and yes, of course. But, you know, there's good and bad in everything. And
it's all circumstantial in the sense that if you quit when you're all in and you're passionate about being a trader. So if you say to yourself, ask that same question of in 30 years, would I still be trading? Doesn't mean you're trading as much as you are now, but still wanting to trade, still interested in trading as in terms, that's how strong the passion is.
Well, I want to be the best trader in the world. Sort of
and
thing.
if you decide to quit then that's a travesty. That's not good, right? But there are many people who don't have that passion, right? They aren't all in, and they are essentially gambling, right? And they're gambling addicts. They just don't know it, right? They just don't have that.
I was minus the gambling, but the passion and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have that, then I've always said, and this is coming from someone who has a course or has a mentorship education, so therefore me saying this may defer someone and may even get a member. I even say it to members, you know, I always try and get them to reflect on, are you really passionate about this? Because I don't want people to be spending money on education, losing money in accounts if they're not passionate about it. If they don't have that mindset, they're not actually driven towards trading, they're driven only towards the money, right? And what the trading they think they can get from trading, right? So, you know, as someone who has a community, I still try and highlight this, even though essentially that's bad for business, right?
You were saying that earlier, yeah.
Yeah, like essentially I should be saying like, no, everyone can be a trader and everyone should try trading and everyone can get rich trading, right? And try and get all these customers, right? But I'm not like that, and it's not fair and it's not right, you know, it's not ethical. You have to be realistic. Now, I know traders who traded for 12 years and then found success. Right? And yeah, someone could easily say to them at year 8, for example, like, you should quit, right? But the fact is that obviously, you know, just in the fact that they've been trading 12 years shows they were passionate about it. And it just so happened to take them 12 years to get to that point.
Yeah,
right?
No such thing as an overnight success. It's like that guy in the mine where he's
exactly, yeah,
mining, and then the diamonds are just there and he gives up, kind of thing. It's like you don't know where the diamonds are. Some people it's a year. Some people it's on average 2 to 3. Some people it's 12.
I think the average is in trading, not that you can't do it sooner, because it all boils down to, again, your mindset and your discipline for sure. Like, discipline plays a huge part. So if you can learn the right stuff, have your right repeatable process, and then be disciplined, have a very strong discipline, and you do that in 6 months, you can do it in 6 months. You can do it in 1 month, right? There is no time limit. But on average, I think 3 years. I think 3 to 4 years is the about average time.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays with the amount of good information you can have compared to, say, 5-6 years ago when we started, 6 years ago when we started. I think you can do it in sooner. But again, it's about the mindset. Like, anyone can be a trader, but not everyone should be a trader. It's and very important, the difference there.
Yeah, that's a big one. And like, you know, a lot of traders who I've spoken to, you know, and they ask for advice and help and stuff, it's the wanting it now. It's the immediate gratification thing again, which fucks up a lot of traders, and it's this desperation. I need the money because life's shit. Don't want to be in my job. That's a big one. Hating your job. If you hate your job and you're trading, you're not going to be a successful trader. You know, being all emotional about your job, the emotions are going to fuck up your trading. But like, you know, what I say to a lot of traders is, you know, it's taken us 10 years of talking to get to where I am now, and I'm just at the start, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like this. Things take time, and so what I say to a lot of traders is have an apprenticeship mentality. You know, go into trading where you don't go into an apprenticeship to make a load of money, do you? You do it for the skill set, the trade, the experience, the qualification.
Yeah.
And then when you're an electrician or whatever, then you've got the business, you're making the money, you're building a brand or whatever. You work for a good company making good money. It's like the same thing with trading. It's like you don't get there straight away. It's like you've got to learn the skills and learn all the right things to be an electrician. It's the same thing with trading. There's so many. It's harder, you know, because it's you against you. No one's holding you accountable except yourself, and it's like, you know, that takes time to learn that and try. It's such a big trial and error thing, isn't it? And just
it's a good analogy you just said there, because let's take an electrician, right, who does the apprenticeship, gaining the experience, may even get a job. And is in a particular circle building skills and experience again. But for the hyper success, the large books, the freedom, if you will, that many chase as part of trading. If you take that same analogy, at a certain point, same with let's say the electrician, you have to go out on your own after building the experience, and focus on yourself and what you can do and what niche you have, and what will give you the success you want, right? Trading's the same principle. That during that period of the apprenticeship and building your experience, you will obviously learn, have mentors, be in communities. But in the end, when you have the knowledge and experience, if you want that hyper success, it takes you having that tunnel vision and focusing on what is going to benefit you. And that's something I've been so big on talking about because, like Yusuf was on the podcast and he mentioned the same thing. He's been trading 12 years. I think longer now, 14 years now. Started in 2008. And that's what helped him. He had amassed all this knowledge, great mentorship, obviously, with us and in our community. But the thing that then was the spark to him seeing consistency was taking that step back and focusing on him, because there was no more knowledge he needed. Sure, yeah, you can learn more, but you already had enough. Yeah, sure, you could be in another community or have another mentor, but he'd already learned enough, had the experience. He had everything that he needed. He had all the tools. Right. And now, when they say treat trading like a business, same with that electrician analogy, like if he wants this hyper success and the freedom, he'll probably go and start his own electrician business. Right. And focus on himself. He's not going to focus on, the community, the job he had before or the apprenticeship he did 5 years ago. Right. Now it's time for him to focus on himself. Right. And focus on what's going to give him what he wants out of life. Same with trading. Once you transition and have the mindset of, okay, trading is my business, I need to focus on what will give me success, what's going to get me to where I want to be, what processes I need to put in place.
What are the actions required to get me the results? Rather than results focus, it's like,
the process.
Okay, out of psychology, risk management, technical analysis, journaling, backtesting, whatever, where am I falling short? If I had to rate these things, I did this on a coaching call with a trader, it's just like, what are the, and maybe for you guys watch this, but what I did with him is, okay, what are the successful traits or actions, successful traders, whoever it is, what do they do? So it's like routine, strict routine was the first thing said, psychology, and
listed off a bunch.
Listed all these things. It's like, okay, now rate yourself out of 10 on these things. And so it was like 8 here, 7 here, 4 here. And so it's like, okay, so there was, I think, strict routine and psychology were the 4 out of 10s, the lowest ones. So it's like, okay, well, these are the areas of improvement. Because if you improve these things, do you think that's going to help you hit your goal of becoming a full-time consistent trader? Yes. Okay, so this is the action. This is the project to focus on, psychology and strict routine. Which one do you think is going to be the most beneficial thing? Strict routine. Okay, next 3 months, that's your focus. Keep trading, keep doing your thing, but that is the focus. Yeah. And so it's like, okay, strict routine. So now,
one piece at a time.
Yeah, as I said to him, how do you eat an elephant? How would you eat an elephant?
I wouldn't eat it. I wouldn't do it. But one piece at a time, obviously.
That's it. Yeah. And so a lot of people with these goals, it's just like, it's an elephant.
Why not pick a cow or something?
I don't know. It's a good analogy because the elephant's so big and the goal's so big and overwhelming. How do I do it? But it's like, if you had that elephant chunked up into 365 pieces and I say, eat that, you got a year to do it. Okay.
One piece a day, yeah.
Easy. And so it's like, with the strict routine, we broke it into smaller chunks. It's like, okay, so what are, the things, you think you should do to help you get a better routine? Oh, this, sleep and exercise and stuff. So it's like, okay, now, so to improve sleep, what can you do today? What are the small...
Help you to do that, yeah.
So it's like read a book, YouTube, all those things. And so when you do all these little things, you read the books and you improve your health by doing all the small little actions, that's going to improve your routine. That's going to help you with your trading, do all those projects. It's going to help you get the results, and it's actions will get the results. And what you said about Yusuf as well, what I really want to touch on is because I've been guilty of it, is the shelf development, not self-development. And it's the accumulation of knowledge and learning. And then it's actually doing something with it. Because you said it was just one thing. It's just all it can take is one action. And we know what it is. Everyone knows what it is. Intuitively, but they don't do it. Until they do
I've always said that, like every trader knows exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, they know, and that's it. But they don't. And if they do some introspecting,
or like you said, the shelf,
it's not important to you. Trading, ultimately, it's not that important to them, realistically, which hurts. And a lot of people who are watching this, there's going to be some people who don't resonate. They're the ones who are going to be, they're going to be profitable because they fucking love it.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people who watch this and they're going to be like, oh.
Yeah.
And if you get that feeling watching this, I'm not saying quit, but
reflect, man. You got to
reflect. You got to reflect and
at the end of the day, look, the thing that I think ties people in is the gambling aspect. They might not be gambling in the sense that they're actually losing. What I mean is, what is the gambler mindset? What keeps gamblers gambling is that the hope of winning, number one, winning big, of course, changing their life. But most importantly, what hooks them is that they've lost and they think about those losses. And usually it's just the fact that they could make those losses back.
Trying to make it back.
Yeah, so like that's why I think traders specifically, even like crypto traders, even NFT people, for example, in these realms where big money can be made and potential, especially trading though, the fact that hooks people in when they don't have a passion is that I've lost 10K. Let me just make that 10K back. You know, I've lost 15K. Let me just get this 15K back. It's been 2 years. You know, I can just do it in 1 month. I saw this guy online. He just made 100K. I can do that. It's those thoughts, man. That's it. Like literally. And again, there's a lack of people talking about it. You know, yeah, it's bad for business, right? It's bad for the communities and the mentors, but who gives a fuck? Because if you're really a community and mentor, what you're really caring about is people, essentially, right? Because your whole point and your whole business model is that you want to help people grow. So if you're not there giving them the disclaimer that, hey, if you don't care about this shit, you don't care about being a trader, really, and you're hooked because you lost 10K, you're hooked because it's been 2 years and you lost 5K or paid this much or whatever it may be, you need to reflect because that 10K will become 20, that 5 will become 10, that 2 years will become 5, right? And you cannot waste that time or money if it's not for you.
And that's just time and money. There's the mental side of things. It's
mental health, man. Big traders, man, and entrepreneurs as a whole, right?
We'll get into.
Ooh, we can go into it now, to be fair, because I think we've gotten up to that point now where we're leading up to where we are now, to be fair. But yeah, like I think it's definitely something that many traders need to reflect on, and I make a point of it consistently.
Yeah, not enough people are having the tough conversations. You know, like there's a lot of fluff out there and sugarcoating it and not being honest and raw, and like that's what I really appreciate you doing. And you know, my coaching, I don't sugarcoat it. Like I ask people, I had a client say he resented me because I was being hard on him and asking the questions.
I've had people say.
You know, I just said, you know, do this and answer it 100 times. Do this one question, answer it 100 times. Just like, I resent that. But then I held this individual accountable, and then afterwards he was crying, like of gratitude and just like shift. And it's just like, it's the questions, and it's being hard on people and challenging people, you know, is what people sometimes often need, you know, being sugarcoated, you know, being nice and putting your head in the sand, or, you know, like kind of just not being honest and truthful isn't like really helping people as much as when you can be hard and truthful and honest, you know, and being real about it, you know, because like there's that quote with trading, it's like 90% of traders lose 90% of the money in 90 days sort of thing. Yeah. And it's just like, you know, be real, honest about that. It's like, if it's not for you, don't fucking do it. And that's okay. And if it's not for you, that's okay.
You see it more often, obviously, in the beginning stages, a lot of people quit, and that's fair enough again, because again, if you're not passionate.
It's the middle point.
Yeah, it's
not the success. It's not the start, 90 days. Yeah. It's the first 3 months to however many years.
That's why I always associate it as in like you're essentially gambling, because it's the mindset that the gambler shares, you know? Because trading is gambling. If you don't know what you're doing, if you have no rules, it's like I said, like if I go and play roulette, there are people who have a strategy with roulette. They're trying to note down the probabilities based on obviously how many outcomes have already happened, like red, black, third of the board, fourth, all that BS, yeah? Not BS, but like all that stuff, all those stats, right? That's why they give you cards at some of these casinos, so that people can make these notes and try and work out probabilities. I've never done that, but I've seen people doing it, writing it down. A lot of Chinese people, right? They love the casinos. I don't think I've ever been to a casino and not seen a Chinese person with stacks, you know, putting stacks on there, man. It's mad. But balling, honestly. But yeah, like there are the gamblers who go to the casinos, no plan, no strategy. They're gamblers, right? There's those who go to the casinos, whether it's roulette, whether it's blackjack, or poker. Strategy. That's why you have professional poker players. You see a whole poker series. They have strategies, not only in understanding the cards, but also in their mindset and how they play their mindsets and how they play hands, even if they have no. That's why you see people what they call it, bluffing. right? People make money bluffing because that's a strategy, right?
Yeah.
So if you trade without clear strategy, plans, that is gambling. 100%. That is just gambling.
It's like poker. You go into poker. If you just go into poker.
If I went and played poker, like if me and you play poker,
we're just going.
I'm gambling
with the mentality.
You know how to play the game, right?
Ish, but like
But essentially, that's what I mean. Me and you play. You're not gambling to a degree. I'm gambling. If you went and played in a professional poker tournament, you're a gambler. They're not.
Because it's like we can use this analogy of poker. You go if we go in because I might know it, and the strategies and stuff. But then if I just go into a casino with you, we're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
You know, there's a high probability of us losing our money overall. But it's because we're not that invested. We're just playing for fun, sort of thing. We're not taking it seriously.
Remember when we went to casino?
Yeah, we made.
That was mad.
Riz came and went with £10. I went 20. You turned into like 1,500. I turned into like £500-600. That was after the cinema.
We went cinema. We went. It was Corner House in Nottingham. I don't remember the film we watched, but I remember. Let's say it was like I think it was like 8-9 o'clock at night. Yeah, and we were just like, hey, I got 10, you got 20 quid. Should we just go to the casino? It's downstairs. Yeah, cool. Bear in mind we were like I don't know 18, 19 at the time. Went in, and it was fucking wild. We were in there for 6 hours, 7 hours in the end. And yeah, £10 to 1,500. I lost it all, of course. I think the mad thing is, I cashed out. Obviously, Thomas was telling me cash out. I was like, nah, man, I'm on a streak. I cashed out, saw this table. I was like, yeah, guaranteed. Took all my money, went back, blew it. Yeah,
tipping £25 to the.
Yeah. The mad thing is, I needed it would have been perfect because I needed like £500 or £1,000 the next day, so it would have been perfect. And obviously, not God, but like the universe tried to bless me with the money and I gave it back, but that's fine. It was an amazing experience, I tell you that. But Thomas cashed out. I'll tell you now. We walked away winning in terms of Thomas.
I was angry at you. I was like, why didn't you fucking cash out?
I know, but that was a wild experience, man. I remember.
But because I was just more so like, you had £1,500 and you.
I know.
But it was just more that.
I was pissed at myself,
story.
of course. But hey, man, it was an experience, bro. Like everyone was surrounding us. At one point, I remember I put that much chips on the roulette table that it was like one number could have banked us big, and it did, and it hit that number. Right? Imagine it was literally one number. I had put it on like red and black. Not both, obviously, but like I had chosen, one specific part of the board, 1/3 of the board, one line of the board. Numbers as well, odds and evens. I had betted on everything.
When you go into a casino and then you do red or black, but then you have the person next to you just puts it everywhere. That was you.
Exactly, but I put it everywhere in not like I didn't have a strategy, but it was like I chose black and red. One of them. I'd chosen like odd and even one of them, and it got to a point where it was if one number hit, I hit everything, and it hit that number. And I remember everyone was going wild. I remember I gave chips to the guy working. The people working there must have made
£25 tips. I remember
they were making money.
Each go.
I didn't even know what the chips were worth at one point. I remember there was some guy next to me who I gave chips to, and like, you bet that, man, that's yours, bro. And he was like, "You sure?" He was trying to attach to me.
You. That is so classic you. It's not even funny.
It was wild, man. I remember there was a guy who like I knew, and obviously in our culture and the religion at the time that I was in. Gambling is frowned upon. It's not allowed. It's not even frowned upon. It's not allowed. And this guy came in. I won't name names, but he came in. And I looked up. I remember I was on this winning streak. I looked up and the guy was there, obviously, and he was shocked that I was there. I didn't care. I don't care what people think, but this guy obviously did. But I remember him pulling out a bunch of cash, throwing it on the table, and he lost twice. And I said to him, like, "What are you doing here?" He was like, "I'm waiting for a friend." Obviously, he wasn't. And then that was just a wild story. On the same night that all happened, it was so funny. Wow, that was good times though, man. I've never had an experience like that again, No. And luckily I don't go to casinos and that. Yeah, the only times I've been to casinos when I went Vegas and Macau, because obviously you have to like just throw in 10-20 quid in them places. But yeah, but yeah, essentially though, that's the life of a trader though. They do that. They have that one winning experience. They get hooked, and then they're not even passionate about trading.
Well, that's my story.
Yeah,
that's literally what happened with me. I gambled. £100 turned to 4,300. Lost it, and then I was chasing that, that possibility of I can make, this amount of money in a few days. Wow, what if I can do this properly? You know what I mean? That's what I was chasing that dopamine high. And so, yeah, it just comes back to the are you going to take this seriously or not? And are you all in? And are you committing? Like, I think because you got to be real, and you got to be like, if you're not going to get results for 5 years, if you knew you were going to be profitable in 5 years' time, I'm a fortune teller. Would you stick around for 5 years and keep eating dog shit with flies around it for 5 years until you get there? And you've got to be honest.
Something else. They would pick something that says like 6 months, 3 months, or a year.
5 years, yeah. Just maybe ask yourself that, like, and whatever intuitively comes up, it's just like.
The thing is, the truth of a journey. So like my journey, as a perfect example, is like, year 1 probably lost like 3-4K. Year 2 probably lost 10, 15. Year 3 probably lost 20. In total up to 30-40K. Yeah. Year 4 making 30K. Year 5 making 60, 70, 80K. And that's what it looks like. It doesn't have to be exact like that, but that's what it's going to look like. And again, saying, if you said that to someone at the start, would they be willing to do it? And the answer really defines, obviously, if you are meant to do it or not. If you're willing to go through that, then of course, then go through it and understand that, and keep that in mind. But if you're not willing to go through that journey, you should never have started in the first place.
And that's not trading, that's life.
Yeah.
Trading's it's really obvious at trading, but that's just anything really. And that leads really well onto next. But with coaching, I kind of took that mentality, and it's just like, if I do this for a year, make this a full-time thing, life's great, sort of thing. And obviously I'm 2 years in, it's just like I'm still at the start of the journey, and it's just like treating it and creating unrealistic expectations on yourself in terms of when you can achieve something is what creates depression. You know what I mean? And when things aren't going your way, when life is not meeting your unrealistic expectations, that's when you get depressed, and that's what happened to me. So it's not just trading, it's with anything, and it's just have that apprenticeship mentality. And it's funny because all the advice and the stuff we say is often we're saying it to ourselves. It's like often, like with me, it's been 2 years of coaching, and it's just like I feel just recently now
some traction, some progress.
Yeah, it's been
The thing is, you probably felt progress before as well, but it's just like at first that progress, because it's the first taste, it feels like, oh my god, that's it now.
It's infatuation.
It's only up from here now. And then obviously when we're hit with something, when the reality comes, it teaches us that that's just not how life works, and that it is a long game, and there's always more to learn. There's always more to gain perception on. And obviously, as you mentioned, you experience depression, and in this, and this is why, again, podcasts are so good. And I have the same mentality, like you said, like everything I talk about in terms of value, literally, I can tell you, like some of my best pieces of content, whether it's for the Vipers, like for the the students, or even the ones I put online, the best forms of content have always been the recent lessons I've learned, and it might not be something that's changed my life, but it's just given me some form of drive or shift in mentality or motivation or a different viewpoint for me, no one else, for me. But when I've then been able to articulate that into content, and that's the one, they've always been the most successful ones. And yet I'm not putting it out there to say, hey, listen to me, I'm right, or anything. I'm putting it out there really as a journal to myself and a lesson to myself.
There's not that preachiness or whatever. It's just like, genuinely, this has made a huge impact on me. And it's not, you're not trying to tell people. It's just like sharing my experience.
Exactly.
This has genuinely impacted me in such a massive way. And like you
hopefully
feel obligated to share it.
Yeah.
Like, how can I not share this? It's been so impactful.
Maybe it will relate to you, maybe it won't. But if it relates to you, amazing. Because remember, the mindset of legacy is just that, one person. Now, let's say I have one student, right, out of my hundreds that I've had. If that one student goes on to impact 1 billion people, that's part of my legacy. It's not, I'm not taking credit, but it's like, it's part of the legacy, But imagine if I have 100 students who all go then and teach 100 people, the multiplication, again, legacy. So that's why I do this content stuff. It's not because I want to be a social media influencer, but at the end of the day, I want to help people. So the more people I get to help, the more ripples and the more it can then be passed on, and that's legacy. Look at people like his name, Meditations. Who's that by?
Marcus
Aurelius. Yeah, look at him. At least hundreds of years ago, if not 1,000 years ago, for example, he has a book. He has a book that people still read and get value from. He has quotes that that are so powerful. Like, one of them that I use a lot is what we do in this life echoes in eternity, right? It's so powerful. It remains in my heart, yeah, and literally on my mind constantly. And yet, as a person said it fucking 1,000 years ago. And the only reason it's here to this day is because he said it to someone or people, and it's passed on, been his legacy in two lines, right? Let alone everything else that he said as well and left behind. But 2 lines is all it took. Same with this, right? With what I do here and what we're doing here and what we try to do with social media. It's the same principle that one video could survive somehow, or once someone viewed a video and documented it and took it in, and then they passed it on, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, because there's probably something you might have said
and it's
during this 2 hours.
Notice it's not money though.
No, it's like
it's the words, it's the power, it's the sentiment, it's the change that you can bring, and I think words are the most powerful thing on earth. You know.
Yeah, and just knowledge. It comes back to knowledge, like learning that thing. You know, it's like there's this quote I love by my mentor DeMartini. He was like, you know, people can take away everything in your life except for 2 things. It's like your love for others and the wisdom you have. Like no one can ever take that away, and that's why I love education, because like you can lose everything, but the experiences, the knowledge, you don't lose that. And it's like like I love how legacy, it's not just like a recent thing. You've been saying that since, you know, start. It's always been about legacy for you, always. And just and it comes back to, you know, those small, you know, we think, you know, posting content and making this huge impact is how it's going to you know, affect all these people. But even just your day-to-day stuff, you might have one conversation with a friend and you just say one thing, and it's a golden nugget, and just for them at that time in their life, that one thing creates the change. And you just
100%.
we never know the consequences of our actions, positive, negative. All our actions are good or bad, you know, but it's just like, you know, and it should, back to you when you said Albert, you know, you took an action, you put yourself out there, you connected with Albert, you go on his podcast, wow, like this is exactly what I need to do. You can hire this? Oh shit. You got all these people on, and then, you know, you're meeting all these people, your network, and that's helping you. But then the content you put out is helping all these people who are watching it, because there's probably one person, there's one thing, they've just watched that and they're like, that's just the unlock. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, that's
2 things, right? Yeah. One that we can just revert back to quickly. So like Wackass obviously is where I came across trading. We first heard about it and everything, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't take the option to go work in a restaurant, right, Toro's that he owned, right? So if I didn't put myself out there to take a job in a restaurant, right, which even though I still had the vision of success and everything, that was obviously not going to make me successful, right? But if I didn't do that, I would not have gotten myself back in the circle with Wackass to then put myself in the position to ask him about trading, which then put me to where I am now. Imagine that everything I do now is obviously trading related. So if I did not take a job that is so frowned upon in this industry, not only a job, but a job in a restaurant, being a waiter, cleaning tables, carrying dishes, you know, taking orders, cleaning the floor and the toilets.
It's not sexy stuff again.
If I didn't do that, I would never have got myself back in the circle with my friend to be able to then ask him how he had got into the position he is in, or what he's doing, which I would not be here to this day, or in this position anyway.
And it's taking, and just, you know, there's that for sure. You know, it's being at the right place at the right time to meet the right people. But then it's having the courage to ask someone and take action. You took action, it's small, but you know what I mean? Some people, they're just so scared about, you know, just asking people or whatever. But it's like you were bold enough and had the courage just to ask him.
Literally bold now.
Got a bold head. But like, you know, and that, because if you were just shy and stuff like that,
honestly,
and you just,
it just shows you like the power of
just that one conversation by just being bold,
putting yourself out there and then taking action.
He
could have said anything. He might have said drop shipping, and the thing is, if he had said drop shipping, there might have been a little spark there, but I definitely know there would have been no longevity. Trading wise, literally, I've said this before, like when he said and explained trading, he didn't explain it in detail. He just said, I do Forex. I said, what's that? Never heard of that word. He said, I trade like euro against the dollar, the gold against the US dollar. And as soon as I heard that, bang, spark, yeah? And I knew I wanted to do that instantly. I knew I wanted to do it, you know? And that's what is necessary. That's the feeling you want before you do something. So let's say if he told me I'm a life coach and I got into it in this way, I probably might have had a similar spark, you know? In terms of like, I'm helping people and this is how I'm amassing money through helping people though and getting results. Again, that would have sparked, you know? So yeah, that was one thing. The other thing was, just as you said there, like, you know, the whole Albert thing, learning about this and then being able to take action on that. And then having the podcast with Tansy at the day and hearing that story, you know, and I'm really putting into perspective true, not just hardship, but like, you know, what people go through and how they come out the other side and what they survive, you know, and it really puts into perspective, like, hard day trading, lost some money on a trading account. This man here lost his family in literally 12 months and was diagnosed with cancer. And I'm here like, I had a tough week trading, or I feel a bit shit or tired because I've been doing a lot, I'm handling a lot. There's a little bit of weight on my shoulders. I've got to work a little hard this week. I've got to do a bit of struggle. And then, you hear a story like that and it puts into perspective, like, what the fuck are we complaining about? No matter how hard it is, I've got a little bit of debt. Who gives a fuck if your family's still there? If your health's still there? What do you give a shit about some debt? You can handle the debt. You can control the debt. It's not outside your control, but that's outside your control.
And it's like a book comes to mind, and I've got it because I read it on planes for some reason. It's Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
I know, I've still got to read it. I bought it, but I need to read it still.
And it's basically, if you guys are watching this and you having those kind of small issues, it's okay, but if you want that perspective shift and you want to get out of that sort of victim mentality, read that book. It's basically, Auschwitz survivor. He was in Auschwitz, and he survived it, and it's just he could not control that, because with the debt and stuff, it's in your control. With the individual you mentioned, it's just like that was out of his control, and it's just a perception game. And so with this Viktor Frankl in Auschwitz, it's like it's probably one of the worst things that's ever happened in human history, like in terms of tragedies, but there's blessings in it. I'm grateful that's happened. I know that sounds ridiculous and crazy, but like the knowledge from him alone has impacted my life. You know what I mean? It's just like how to navigate as human beings from that experience.
How we grow and learn, and try and be better.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's just like, that book really puts things in perspective. Just like this guy just went through the worst stuff you can imagine, and he found meaning in it. He found purpose in it. I found, there's a quote I love from that book. And it's like, when the why is big enough, the hows take care of themselves, And he had a really big why. And it's what you just diving back to what you said. It's like, it really puts things in perspective, and it helps you just those things which are so big, they're not. You know what I mean? In the grand scheme of things, whatever you're going through now, in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, you're probably not going to remember it. It's not, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just the power of perception.
Yeah. Well, I think in terms of this episode, I think we've covered so much, given a lot of people something to think about. And I would definitely love to hear your thoughts on some of the topics we've covered, especially in terms of, because I know a lot of you are traders out there, especially in terms of like, what your thoughts are on what we discussed about, it's not trading if it's not for you, realizing that and reflecting on that. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, and even just there at the end in terms of those small actions that can lead to huge leaps in your journey, and how not taking and inaction, how it can hold you back. But appreciate all your support, time, obviously, Thomas, as always, and thank you for watching. Drop a subscribe. We'll catch you because we're going to dive deep now. So I hope we're ready. Let alone you guys. But it's going to be so beneficial. I already know it. So let's go.